actually make the most of our study time? I think we've probably all been there where we sat down to do a task and half an hour later we've realised we haven't actually done it or made very little progress because we've been scrolling on our phone, we've answered a few emails, we stopped to make a cup of tea, we weren't really sure what it was that we were trying to do, we didn't have the right book with us or whatever it might be. So we want to actually be productive in our study time so that we can get stuff done and not waste the precious time that we have. Some preliminary work really needs to be done first, and this is where you're making sure that you're set up to study. So I would recommend that you have some sort of dedicated study space so that you've got all the equipment that you need, a clear space where you can actually work, and hopefully one that's fairly free of distractions if possible. You also need to think about what it is you're actually going to do with your study time. So you need to have a little bit of organisation there so that you know what tasks need to be done. You might find it useful to do a priority matrix. So this is where you're looking at the importance and the urgency of the tasks that you need to do. So if you plot them on the matrix, then what you can do is you can think about, what do I need to do first? And what you need to do first are the things that are the most important and the most urgent. So knowing what it is that you're going to do with your study time is a really important step, so that when you actually come to that block of time that you've got in your schedule, you can sit down and you know what it is that you're going to do. So at the very beginning of that study session, write yourself down the goal. What is it that you're aiming to do in this study session? And don't make it too vague or too big. Be really specific. So in this study session, I am going to write the introduction to my essay. Or in this study session, I am going to read the journal article by Smith and Jones. Make it very specific and realistic. So think about how much time you've got and how long it's going to take you to do that task. And have that goal next to your computer so that you know what it is that you're working on. The next thing I would recommend is just spending a couple of minutes freeing your mind of all the other clutter that might prevent you from studying. So you might do a brain dump where you just write down all the things your brain is going through, even if it doesn't make sense. No one's going to read it. It's just to get the thoughts on paper so you can put it to one side and forget about it. Or you might do a mindfulness activity where you just list down the things that you can see and hear in the room so that you're focusing on the here and now and not all the other things that are going through your mind. Then what you need to do is you need to then start your study session. So this is where you're going to actually work on whatever it is that you wanted to work on. That could look like lots of different things. But one thing that I would recommend is that you try and do it without distractions. So put your phone on silent, turn off your emails. Lots of computers and other devices have a function where it's called focus or no distractions, where you can actually set it up so it doesn't ping you or alert you to things that are going on. That can be really useful. But don't study for too long without having a break. Sometimes we feel we need to do that and we'll be super productive, but actually it can have the opposite effect. So try doing something like setting yourself a timer for 20 minutes or half an hour, and then when that timer goes off, have a 5-minute break where maybe you stretch your legs, look out the window, get a cup of tea, whatever it might be. But it will make you more productive to have those breaks. And then you can come back and do your next set or however long it is that you're going to study. And then when you come to the very end of your study, stop just before you have to. Because what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that you've prepared yourself for your next study session. So it's really easy to pick up where you left off. So what you need to do is you need to write to yourself, maybe on your computer or a post-it or a notebook, what it is that you would do next. So if you had another hour or whatever it might be, and you were going to do it right now, what would you do next? So it might be, next, I'm going to look at those references that I found in the article that I thought would be really useful. Next, I was going to talk about how X, Y, and Z is important in my paragraph. Make sure that you know what it is that needs to follow what you've just done. So when you come back to it next time, you can just pick it up straight away rather than going, oh, what was it that I was doing? What was my thought process? So make sure that you do that. And make sure you give yourself a couple of minutes just to make sure you saved your work and that you saved it in more than one place in case there's any technical difficulties, and that you've had a chance just to put everything away so that your study space is still neat and tidy, so it's ready for you next time you come to study. There may be other things that you find useful too, but hopefully if you follow that kind of rule of knowing what it is that you need to do, what is your priority, setting yourself that goal, freeing your mind and your workspace of any distractions, making sure you take regular breaks, and making sure that you stop in plenty of time so that you can leave yourself a note for next time and you can tidy everything away so that you are ready to go when you pick it up next time. Let me know if you've got any additional tips in the comments below. I hope you found this useful.